Coming up on AgweekTV, the cattle industry is at odds over a legislative fix to cash cattle prices.
We'll check in on planting in western North Dakota.
And it's retirement for a grain trader that's handled more grain than anyone in the region. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Michelle Rook. Many cattle producers believe the cattle market is broken, and that's been amplified during the COVID-19 pandemic. Cattle producers in the north believe it's tied to the large amount of captive supply packers can use every week to fill their processing needs. That means they don't have to bid in the open market, and when they do, they often offer lower cash prices. That's prompted a legislative fix. Some cattle feeders in the north are supporting legislation to require large packers buy at least 50% of their weekly slaughter on a negotiated basis with a 14-day delivery. They say it's needed to restore price discovery.
Price discovery happens when we have enough cattle in the marketplace that we are able to establish that. We know in Nebraska we need to short 40,000 head a week, and we need participation by the three major packers that have facilities in our state.
He says that's why they and several other Midwest associations have policies supporting the bill. However, their national organization does not.
Well, NCBA is opposed to it because that's their current policy. The association is a policy-driven organization. So current policy, whatever's on the books, is where they stand.
Todd Wilkinson agrees the cattle market is broken, but isn't sure how the bill will help, as northern feeding areas already have a higher percentage of negotiated cash.
So I don't see how it's going to impact us as much. But when you get into the southern part of the United States, I mean, you get Kansas and Texas, there isn't very much, if any, negotiated trade on a regular basis.
And he doesn't know if a marketplace mandate is the way to go either.
I'm concerned that a legislative fix is sometimes brings more baggage than it promises to deliver.
It's uncertain if the 5014 bill has congressional support to pass, and so far no lawmakers from southern states have signed on. Stillwater is hopeful that they'll be able to change policy at NCBA's August meeting. Both he and Wilkinson do serve on NCBA's committee looking at cattle market reform. Speaking of the cattle market, if you travel on Highway 212 west of Watertown, South Dakota, you may see a sign urging you to eat beef, but that's not the only message Troy DeBerg wants to send. He's a third-generation cattle producer, and he's concerned that packers are taking over the market. So he recently added another sign warning if you think beef is high now, wait till the packers control the farms.
The packers are making $1,200 to $1,500 a head on them, and we're losing $400. There is something seriously wrong with the industry. So pretty soon, I think everybody will be broke out here.
The DeBergs feed cattle in an 1,800 head feedlot and had another 200 cow-calf pairs. They sell cattle in the open market for dressed beef, and he says they must take whatever prices the packers offer on a particular date. Meat processing capacity is slowly coming back online, but pork producers are still having to dispose of several thousand pigs per day. Weekly hog slaughter has been running about 15% below a year ago, a huge improvement from past weeks, which hit over 40% below normal. Many plants have reopened but are under maximum capacity, so hogs are still backing up and having to be euthanized.
We know that, in Minnesota that we're probably putting down somewhere in the vicinity of, 15,000 plus per day. For farms, they've done a really good job of holding pigs back. We also know that over the last few months that any pig that was not going to probably become a number one pig had probably been euthanized on many, many farms already.
Smithfield and Sioux Falls and JBS in Worthington, Minnesota are open, but may take a while to ramp up to normal. Plants are following OSHA and CDC guidelines for PPE and social distancing for workers, which slows chain speeds, and so Pricer isn't sure if plants will ever get back to full capacity. Planting progress is still ahead of average and wrapping up in the nation and much of the region in all but North Dakota. Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska have nearly wrapped up corn planting. However, with wet conditions, North Dakota is 25% behind normal, leaving 1.5 million acres at risk of not getting planted. Soybean planting is also well ahead of average in the region, except North Dakota, which is at half the normal pace. And with recent rains in the northern plains, spring wheat planting remains 9% behind nationally. While wet conditions have put North Dakota behind as a whole this spring, planting has fared a bit better in the western half of the state. In fact, Jenny Schlecht found out that some of those areas could use a little rain.
While planting has lagged in central and eastern North Dakota because of wet conditions, western North Dakota farmers are finding things a little easier. They've been able to get in the field, and now they're actually hoping for a little rain.
It is very, very dry out here.
Chris Dukeshire is the agronomy manager at Central Dakota Frontier Co-op in New Salem. He says most of the area's small grains are planted, corn is about half done, and soybeans are about 75% done. He says they started with pretty good submoisture, so although it's been dry, he thinks crops are okay for now.
There are some nervous producers out there, I guess, but for the most part, I think it's still too early to say what's actually going to happen.
There's some areas that are just swamp, and then other areas are just powder dry.
Shane Tellman has finished planting his wheat, barley, canola, and corn, but was still working on soybeans in a field northwest of New Salem.
It's kind of been a battle between too dry and too wet, just depending on where you are.
But he says he isn't too concerned yet.
We got a little time. Everything's came up. Not really anything went into dry soil, but it's just getting to the point where we could really use a half-inch rain.
He says really the main struggle right now is low commodity prices.
It's starting to get a little dry, but nobody's really worried about it yet. You know, there's lots of time for that. It's just mainly that commodity prices come back.
We'd definitely be willing to take other people's rain if they want to send it our way.
In New Salem, North Dakota, this is Jenny Schlecht for Agweek.
They say market decisions did play a role in cropping decisions for some. Most of the corn that's grown west of the Missouri River is used for ethanol plants, and with the tough market conditions, that spooked some away from growing corn. The region's biggest grain trader is retiring, but he's not really leaving it behind. We'll explain next on AgweekTV.
With the success of the Case IH Steiger Quad Track and Magnum Road Track tractors, it's no secret why Case IH is the leader of the track. So it wasn't surprising when the competition started imitating us. But only Case IH offers a 5-axle design to give you a smoother ride, more power to the ground, with less berming and compaction. Still, we're flattered. In fact, if we weren't already red, we'd be blushing.
We have products that no other companies have. That gives us a bit of an advantage and a bit of an edge, and it provides some security to our customer base that we've been here, we're here to stay, and we want to still provide these new innovations to the customers today. It's cold granulated products where we're putting together multiple nutrients. We've got products in our Micro Essentials lineup that contain sulfur and zinc, and we also have products on our potash side which contain boron, which is a newer product for us, which is called Aspire.
This is Dennis Beliski reminding you we do auctions and we do them well. You've built your operation with hard work, and when it's time to sell, all or part, you deserve the best. Details from repairs and preparation to promotion and settlements are not routine. Chances are you'll only do this once, so we'll tailor an auction just for you and get it done right. On-site at your farm or added to one of our highly successful Alaris Center auctions, we have the skill, reputation, and integrity to meet your needs with best-in-class commitment and quality service. Find us at resourceauction.com or call 701-757-4015.
Make sure your farm equipment is season ready with an uptime inspection from your Titan Machinery service professionals. Titan Machinery's team of Case IH certified technicians has the knowledge and experience to find, correct, and prevent mechanical issues that could shut you down during the season. Your planting and harvest windows are short. For genuine Case IH parts and service, schedule an off-season uptime inspection at Titan Machinery today. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer.
Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. Welcome back. A giant in the grain trading industry is retired. Keith Finney spent 47 years buying and selling grain and likely handled more volume than anyone else in the region. Michael Pates looks back at his career in this week's Ag Week cover story.
Keith Finney started trading grain in Humboldt, Minnesota when he was just 20 years old. I thought it'd be a summer job. Well, this is what I've been doing since 1973.
His long career ended when he retired in March. In between, by sheer volume, he was one of the most prolific grain traders in the region.
I can't think of anybody else that maybe handled the volumes we did at the elevators and at the ethanol plant. If I told you it was close to 1 billion bushels, I may be somewhat under that, but it's a lot of bushels.
Finney still remembers his first trade.
I bought 20,000 bushels of wheat from a gentleman in Humboldt.
Over the years, Finney worked at several places in Minnesota, South Dakota, and North Dakota. He's seen a lot of changes in the business, especially in technology.
I first started in the business. There was very little market information. We had to call in to get our markets. We didn't have the DTN screens.
In 2001, he joined the new Alton terminal at Hillsboro, North Dakota. It was the first of its kind in the region, a greenfield project that grew to 4 million bushels of concrete storage. Finney bought grain from 52 elevators as well as farmers. The volume really escalated in 2007 when corn production took off for export and ethanol, an industry he helped supply at Red Trail Energy at Richardson, North Dakota, and finally at Theraldson Ethanol at Castleton.
At a processor, you need grain. So your thinking is a little different, and you have to make sure you have a steady flow.
Finney says he doesn't plan to stop working altogether. He'll maintain an office and plans to continue to trade futures and options for producers.
After this many years, it's hard to get away from the business and the people, and so I'm just going to throttle down a little bit.
In Castleton, North Dakota, this is Mikkel Pates for Agweek.
You can read more about it in this week's Agweek magazine or at agweek.com. Pasta and other shelf-stable foods like pulse crops have been flying off the grocery store shelves during the pandemic. Sometimes quantities are limited, but a grain company executive says it's important for consumers to understand that the food chain is stable. Kurt Harmon is Senior Vice President of Columbia Grain International. The company is a significant supplier of domestic and international markets for hard red spring and durum wheat to all major makers of pasta. Harmon says the pandemic may permanently change how people eat and buy food.
Consumers are becoming more and more aware of where their product's coming from. The impact of outside events on their food chain. And at Columbia Grain, we've really tried to ensure that we have that steady supply for our customer base.
Columbia Grain has seen a nearby surge of about 25% in durum sales and processing. Food pantries have seen a significant rise in demand since the start of the pandemic. It's the same at the food shelf in Preston, Minnesota, in the southeast corner of the state. USDA has said it's spending $1 billion on fresh ag products to be distributed at local food shelves over the next few weeks. Preston manager Laura Grebin says so far they haven't heard if or when they're getting any of USDA's new food boxes of produce, meat, and dairy products. But she says their supplies are good for now because the community and local farmers have been very generous with donations since the pandemic.
It makes a huge impact on our families, and right now we've got even farm families that are needing us and calling and asking about our service.
The Preston Food Shelf serves about 190 families. Since the pandemic, they've started preparing boxes for clients to pick up rather than have them come in and pick out food. Coming up on AgweekTV, a big change for FFA state conventions this year because of the pandemic. And we'll show you a new high-tech planter that was demonstrated recently.
Dig, lay, and bury drain tile all in one pass with the Crary Tile Pro Plow. The Crary Tile Pro Plow lays tile up to 7 feet deep with boot sizes of 4 to 12 inches. Advantages of installing drain tile to your field provides increased overall yield, improved soil moisture levels, and controls soil erosion. It pays to tile with a Crary Tile Pro. To locate a dealer near you, visit www.crarytilepro.com.
Advanced Grain Handling is your regional dealer for grain handler dryers, bins, and accessories. With Grain Handler's continuous mixed flow drying systems, you're capable of high levels of grain dryer efficiency on all types of grain, including seed grain. Advanced Grain Handling also carries West Steel's quality stainless steel products for on-farm and commercial grain storage solutions. Advanced Grain Handling has licensed and trained service techs and a licensed electrical shop. Get a hold of Chad Kylo to find the perfect solution for your farm.
Dynaflow is the ultimate high-volume water management pump. Whether you're experiencing flooding, emptying sloughs, transferring ponds, or working on irrigation, the Dynaflow pump works in as little as 18 inches of water and is designed to move 3,000 gallons per minute.
The Dynaflow lift pump is the perfect upgrade to your drain tile system. Using line shaft turbine pump technology, these pumps are made to last while operating efficiently. Dynaflow drain tile pumps can move up to 1,500 gallons per minute, up to 3,400 feet away.
When it comes to grain storage and handling solutions, one call does it all. Gateway Building Systems, the #1 Brock bin dealer in the U.S., is locally owned and provides turnkey convenience with factory direct product, complete design services, and in-house construction. Now's the perfect time to take advantage of discounts on Brock solid bins, grain dryers, and aeration systems. For more information, go online to gatewaybuilding.com or call 1-800-747-4499.
For Agweek, this is Mikkel Pates at Watertown, South Dakota.
We'll look at the positive impacts that dairy can have on the community.
A Minnesota couple has put a grain bin to a new use. Spoiler alert, it's not grain.
This elaborate system of tubing with the downhill slope is how Maplewood State Park gathers sap to make syrup.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of AgweekTV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. Our weather looks more cooperative, which should help with the remainder of planting and early crop development. Here's John with our AgriWeather Outlook.
Weather portion of Agweek now. Very interesting weather pattern setting up. When is it not, right? But warmer weather is going to be surging northward throughout the Great Plains, and temperatures into the 80s and even probably stray 90s, getting up into the Dakotas and portions of Minnesota. And this time it will come northward with some humidity, setting up the stage for a potentially stormy pattern. The question is, will the thunderstorms be able to yield rainfall? For most of March and April and May, the Northern Plains region has been largely not devoid of moisture, but very limited. It's been fairly scant. And so that makes me a little hesitant to guarantee that we're going to get some good rains. The pattern is iffy. Thunderstorms will likely produce some generous rainfall. It will be a question of how much of that will happen. Warm weather, though, surging northward because of the jet stream going way far north. The only chilly weather has really shifted into the eastern part of Canada right now. So we're going to be fairly warm around here all week. The jet stream itself will sag southward. Little waves of energy will come around and into the higher humidity, drop a few scattered showers and thunderstorms. It does remain unclear, and we really won't know until we get into the week if these are going to end up being isolated, widely scattered, or if one of these will evolve into a generous rain pattern. And the way the warm temperatures are surging northward, that's going to mean the difference between areas being very dry and areas getting some decent rainfall. Because even though the spring thaw was quite slow across the Northern Plains, there just hasn't been a lot of rain since then. Moving into the weekend, the ridge is expected to crash temporarily, and that's going to mean maybe a modest cool down, but I would expect the warm weather to build northward. This is not going to be an exceptionally hot pattern across the Great Plains or across the Midwest, but it will bring a lot of consistently warm weather, a lot of 80s, maybe a few stray 90s, the type of weather we really haven't seen too much of north of Dixie or the Southwest so far this spring. So with the soils drying out and with the weather pattern looking warm, a lot of the areas are going to start needing some moisture. And right now, for this first week of June, it looks like there will be some thunderstorms right along the U.S.-Canadian border. How plentiful the rain ends up being, we really won't know until we get into them. Convective thunderstorms, just a little bit tricky. Only a few showers in the east and the northern Rockies. A lot of the upper Midwest, and the Corn Belt is expected to be mostly pretty dry this week and next week. If we go 2 weeks with not much rain in the Corn Belt, things are going to be needing some moisture. In the Northern Plains, there's definitely potential for some juicy rainfall, but it has to come together just right. It may stay a little too far north, and who knows, maybe after 2 weeks of warm weather, a lot of the region will be wanting for some rain.
2020 has started off where 2019 left off, with a lot of uncertainty and concern. Is your farming operation ready to take the volatility this year has to offer? Do you have a marketing plan in place to take advantage of opportunity? Are you finding it hard to separate the noise from the news? Talk to the professionals at Martins & Ag. We can help you make sound risk management decisions that will help your operation survive during these unusual times.
Steffes Group, selling land and the equipment to farm it since 1960. If you're interested in selling or have questions about our auction process, head to our website at steffesgroup.com to contact us at any one of our 4 locations located throughout the Midwest. You can also visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to view all of our auction previews and recaps to stay up to date on the market in your area.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has a storage solution for you with a wide variety of bin options and accessories, along with site planning and superior customer service. Plus, from top to bottom, we offer the industry's best bins and warranties to protect your products and your grain storage investment. Get superior quality, protection, and reliability with generations of experience and dependability. Make the superior choice today with Superior Grain Equipment.
Modal's Truck and Trailer Sales builds customized trailers to fit farmers' needs. Whether you're spraying, fertilizing, or planting, we build 28-foot 2-tank trailers all the way up to 48-foot 4-tank trailers and plenty in between, including field-ready drop decks, flatbeds, and enclosed reefer trailers. We have plenty of inventory ready to go at our Wheaton, Minnesota location, but if you don't see what you're looking for at modalsales.com, give us a call and we'll talk about building you the perfect trailer.
We're going to talk today about a revolutionary auto steer product that you guys have developed.
We back one of these things in, it'll drain a 40-acre patch just within hours.
What can you tell us about what dairy farmers do to make sure that their animals are happy?
Their care is our primary concern.
Is there still time for producers to get storage bins up?
Absolutely. We still can definitely get something up and ready for corn harvest.
State FFA conventions across the country went virtual this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic and had very successful results. In South Dakota, ag education teachers assembled videos for career development events with 71 chapters and 1,037 FFA members participating. State associations held virtual workshops, career carnivals, and state FFA officers recorded abbreviated convention sessions.
And recognize our state degree recipients, our agri-science fair winners, and all of our career development events, which were held virtually also, and that was done the week before they had the competitions online.
State FFA officer interviews were also conducted via Zoom prior to the convention, with the results announced online. Many of the state convention proceedings are archived on YouTube. Amid the global pandemic and downward commodity prices, ag equipment innovation rolls on. Recently, AGCO was showing off the new high-tech Fendt Momentum planter in a field at Prosper, North Dakota. Fendt is a brand of AGCO, which is based in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and is the third largest ag equipment manufacturer in the world. Locally, Fendt is sold at Butler Machinery. AGCO field product specialist Stephen Pranke says the company was slowed early in the pandemic, but is ready to capitalize when things look up again.
Right now, most of our factories and suppliers are back up to speed. It did slow it down a little bit for the first month, but things are mostly business as usual. You know, the biggest thing is the consumer market out there. They're in a tough spot right now, so we'll just all have to weather the storm together.
The machine is built in Beloit, Kansas, and will be ready for sale to farmers in the 2021 crop year. Putting conservation into practice on rented land can be challenging, especially if the lease only runs 1 or 2 years. But a new study by American Farmland Trust of non-operator landlords hopes to make it easier for farmers and their landlords to implement conservation practices. Nearly half of American farmland is rented, so there was concern that renters don't have a vested interest in conservation practices, and non-operator landowners are only concerned about the bottom line. But the report found that's not true.
Many of them are incredibly interested in keeping land in agriculture for future generations, keeping it in their family as part of their legacy. And many of them indicate that soil conservation and water quality, things like that, are of utmost importance to them.
The survey focused on land owned by individuals or partnerships, not institutions or trusts. Still ahead on AgweekTV, it was built in one pandemic and it's getting a fresh coat of bright red paint in another one.
When planting season comes around, time is precious and you don't have a moment to waste. This spring, keep your planters rolling with a user-friendly seed tender from North Star Ag. We have seed tenders for every size operation from Meridian, Unverferth, and J&M. North Star Ag also sells a variety of Valmar spreaders, the leader in air boom delivery. Uptime is crucial. Keep your crew in the field longer with a fuel trailer from Thunder Creek. Visit NorthstarAg.com to see our complete new and used inventory or give us a call.
The best land rollers in the industry are built right here in North Dakota. And now, they carry a 10-year factory warranty. With sizes from 15 to 91 feet, Summers has the right fit for any operation. Go to summersmfg.com or visit your local dealer to learn more about the full line of Summers field-tested tough equipment.
Luckin Trucks and Parts sells quality used parts for all makes and models. With over 50 acres of trucks and parts and new inventory arriving daily. Family owned and operated since 1966, Luckin's specializes in the sale of quality used medium to heavy duty truck parts as well as pre-owned trucks, trailers, and construction equipment. If it's on a truck, we got it. Call us today and let us get you your part.
Agweek brings you timely agriculture news from field to fork in digital, print, and television. Fresh every week, join Jenny Schlecht from the Agweek editorial team and me, Al Windmill, from the sales and marketing team for a deeper dive into farm and ranch stories, along with guest interviews with personalities from the world of agriculture. If you're involved in farming, ranching, or agribusiness, the Agweek podcast is the show for you.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
The bright red barn is an iconic symbol of agriculture, but they're not all that common anymore. We found one getting a facelift near South Shore in northeast South Dakota. The barn is on the Grable family farm. They were enjoying a spring day by doing some planting, both their crops and their garden, while a crew was giving the barn a fresh coat of barn red paint. It was built by Tim Grable's great-grandfather as a milking barn during the 1918 pandemic, and the Grable family works hard to preserve it. Lacey Grable says she and her husband held their wedding reception in the barn. This is the 3rd time the barn's been painted in the 17 years she's lived at the farm, but this is the first time they've hired someone to paint it.
This time we decided we were getting older and we needed to call in the professionals.
It's going to look really good and it lasts. They last a long time. If you take care of them like this guy, they'll last a long time.
The Grables grow soybeans and wheat on 2,000 acres, and this year their young sons are raising goats. Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of AgweekTV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. We'll see you next week.